Welcome to Strip Cover Lit. I'm Dalton Gentry, alone on the very lonesome set because I have forced Adrian off the set to talk a little bit more Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. Now, I'm not going to call this a review, I'm not going to call this a quickie review, I'm just going to label this a rant. Apparently that's a popular thing to do right now about Harry Potter. So I'm going to rant a little bit, maybe talk out of my ass, and we'll see what happens with it. The biggest issues that's come up since the publishing of Harry Potter and the Cursed Child is the argument of, in my opinion, why it wasn't what we expected. This is a play. You have to read it as a play. Plays are dialogue-fueled. Plays do not give a lot of background, a lot of information besides, set scene here. This isn't going to be the typical reading of Harry Potter that most people are used to. So I think that's where a lot of the apprehension from the Harry Potter universe is coming from. People might be going to this unprepared to read it like a play, could have even possibly purchased this thinking it was going to be a full-scale novel, and holy shit, disappointment. Now, in my opinion, from a theatrical standpoint, this really works. You really have to play with some of the over-the-top, throwbacks to Harry Potter, the funny quotes, the funny lines, dragging characters back from the dead, dragging famous scenes back, because that makes the ambiance of the theater. That captures you as an audience much as the way a flashback would in a video film style. How many times have we seen the flash of green light and baby Harry Potter in the movies? That is what this is doing for the audience in the theater. And that really works in contemporary plays right now. If you haven't seen the musical Wicked on Broadway, on tour, whatever, delightful show, whatever you want to call it, very much out there. Not classic theater. You should always start with classic theater because that's where it's at. But Wicked does do a lot of that with The Wizard of Oz. We all know the quote, lions, tigers, and bears. They're talking about a beverage in the musical and say apples, bananas, and pears. It's funny. People get it. It puts them at ease. It's part of what contemporary theater is doing to be a sustainable art form. Not saying that it's not in its own sense, but when you're saying, let's take Harry Potter and make it a play, that becomes necessary. Now, there was a mistake by me on my behalf when I did the Cursed Child review. I read the book in 2.5 hours, right after midnight when it released, immediately taking notes the whole time, immediately got done, took my final notes, sat up, filmed, dropped the review. I did say multiple times that I accredited the novel, the play, whatever, to J.K. Rowling. My mistake. I made a huge deal out of that this entire week because that seems like where I was getting the most flack from this. No, J.K. Rowling did not write Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. She did approve it. The seal of approval, I would hope, means she thoroughly combed through this piece. It wasn't just, all right, there's money in here, stamp, which a lot of people seem to think, this is just a money-grabbing thing from J.K. Rowling. I disagree completely. If you take any author, take their life's work, and say, hey, I wrote a play, would you approve it? They're not going to unless they wholeheartedly believe in it. So to say that, J.K. Rowling just approved this, blah, 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 that's why it's so wonky, it's so out there, isn't fair. She approved this because she read through it and she believed in it. And yes, she let the playwright take some creative liberties. That's fine. That's what you have to do when you release your work to the world. You have to let them take creative liberties. Was the time turner different than it was in the third book, the third movie? Absolutely. Who says time has definitive rules in the Harry Potter universe that we have to follow? Why can't things be different? Now, certain pops throughout the novel were a wonderful thing. Saying Voldemort has a daughter. Why not? Now, this very well could have been called, as I said before, Harry Potter and the Butterfly Effect. A little far-fetched in some sense. Time travel is very difficult to accomplish in any piece of science fiction, but I think they made it work. There's a lot going on in this play that adds to the canon of Harry Potter. This is what everybody asked for. They wanted more. They wanted to know what Hermione ended up doing. They wanted to know how Harry progressed into adulthood. They wanted to know about Harry's kids. J.K. Rowling approved a chance for people to get that opportunity. And it seems almost 50-50. Some people really cool with it. They enjoyed it. Me. Some people completely fought against it. Huge backlash from that. I really enjoyed the piece. I highly suggest it. If you haven't checked out my full review on Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, I really do suggest that. Go into it with an open mind. Plays are different than novels. There's a lot that's going on here. It's creative liberties from the playwright. But why are we taking things so seriously? It's Harry Potter. Let yourself sink back into that universe. Let yourself go back to Hogwarts one last time, because old JK said she's done after this. Whether she lets somebody else write more books, whether she lets people film movies based on whatever, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, she said she's done with Harry Potter. Once more, let yourself be enveloped in that magic that captured you at whatever age it did. A lot of us read this when we were very young, and this was a big part of our childhood. Dare I say, this is what really got a lot of us into reading. And nobody sits and talks to a camera for hours on end and edits and uploads videos on YouTube and comments and reads and doesn't enjoy it. So we have a lot to thank Harry Potter for, in my opinion. So give it a fair read, try to find some enjoyment out of it, and don't be so harsh on it. It was okay. Yeah, she's probably going to make some more money, whatever. It was a fun read. I definitely give it a go if you haven't given it one already. Make sure you subscribe down below to Strip Cover Lit. Give this video a like. We really do always appreciate the likes. Adrian completely missed out on this video because he hasn't made it to Harry Potter and the Cursed Child yet, but we're going to get him there. We do Adrian Reads Harry Potter every week. We drop on Wednesdays, United States Central Standard Time, however that is, wherever you are. Make sure you give us a follow. I am at the Dalton on Twitter. He is at Adrian Anyway. Strip Cover Lit is also on Twitter at Strip Cover and on Facebook at Strip Cover Lit.